7:05. So I just wanted to make a suggestion. It's something that I thought I would never really do and seemed kind of unnecessary, but I guess specifically for this trail it's helpful because the thing I'm talking about is getting up before sunrise and then getting on trail as soon as it's light enough to see. And I never really thought about it on other trails, but on this one I downloaded an app for sunrise and sunset times just so I knew when to get into camp before dark. And a part of this app, it also told you how much daylight and nighttime hours there was. And by seeing that, it occurred to me that, you know, hiking this early in the year, there's quite a big difference. And the daylight hours, I know the math isn't going to work out, but the daylight was 10 hours and the nighttime hours was over 12. I don't know if it was as much as 10 to 14, but that's kind of what it seemed like. But anyway, it made me realize that even going to bed at 9 o'clock and getting up at sunrise at 6:30, I was still getting over 9 hours of sleep. So it seemed kind of unnecessary to oh, I'm gonna wait until I just wake up when I wake up and I want to sleep in, and I'm not setting an alarm on, I'm not here to enjoy myself kind of thing. Because, you know, if I slept in an extra hour, now I only have 9 hours of hiking time. And out here, when it's pretty flat and you don't really get tired during the day like you would on the Appalachian Trail, where you might call it a day early. Out here, you kind of just, you know, you try to hike as much as you can just because it's so flat and you're trying to make miles, and you know, you're not really gonna set up camp 2 or 3 hours before sunrise or sunset, you know, and hang out at a campfire and talk to a bunch of friends, because there's nobody out here to talk to. And there's not really you got to make your own fire pit and collect all your firewood, and you know, it's not going to happen. So it just makes the most sense to hike as much as you can, because then also when the sun does set at 6:30, you still have 3 hours until you're going to be ready to go to bed. So to me, it just makes sense to try to push everything into those last 3 hours. Once it's dark, okay, now spend that time setting up, spend that time making dinner, spend that time planning and doing your logistics, or making your phone calls, or checking your emails, or whatever it is that you normally would do at camp. Wait till it gets dark to do all that stuff, and that way you're maximizing your hiking time during the day. So, and most of the time, I set an alarm. I never even use it because, as anybody knows, you end up waking up almost every half an hour to an hour on the trail anyway, just tossing and turning. So, you know, if my alarm is set for 6:15, I'll probably wake up somewhere close to 6, and then I just all right, that's good enough, and I just wake up at 6 and get ready then. So it's not like you're getting ready for school or work where you're jolted out of a deep sleep in your memory foam mattress. You're already pretty much half awake, and you kind of turn over, look at your watch, and oh, okay, it's 6 o'clock, I'll go ahead and get up. And like I said, most of the time my alarm never goes off because I turn it off before it gets a chance to. So I think it works good for the Florida Trail, just because the daylight and hours are so much more exaggerated than you would, you know, in the spring. And you know, if you're in the summer and you have 14 hours of hiking light, okay, maybe you don't need to set an alarm because you're not going to hike for 14 hours that day. But for the Florida Trail, I think it's a pretty good system. So this is at one of the, I guess you'd call this a trailhead. It talks about champion trees, which I don't think I've ever heard, but they basically say the individual tree with the highest point total based on height, circumference, and crown spread, is considered the champion of that species. Trees are considered co-champions when total scores differ less than 2%. So it's saying Holton Creek is home of 2 co-champion bald cypress trees. And then it gives you some of the information here if you want to read it about all of the stuff regarding this tree. Based on the picture that those people are standing at, I think the tree they're talking about is this one down here, because that like base is what looks like this is in that picture. Unfortunately, it looks like it was severely damaged in the recent storms, because so I don't know where the other tree, co-champion tree is, but I think it might be the champion now, so it's kind of unfortunate. This is the Holton Creek trailhead. It's primarily like a check station for hunters. Somebody will be in that building, checks permits and things. I don't think hunting season is on right now, so nobody's here. There's an outlet here that works, so I'm using that. There's also a sink here that usually works, but it's turned off. So I was hoping to get water here to replace my river water that I've been carrying, just because the river water, you can't filter out like the pesticides and things. So even if you filter it and put chlorine, like, it's not going to kill you, but obviously it's not super healthy to drink that stuff. So I also think a porta potty is usually right here, but it's gone as well. I'm assuming they took that out when they left, or when they closed this place down. But there's a road right back here, and the trail is just a couple 100 feet behind that. So I'm just doing a little bit of charging up just to make it a couple more days. I think I'll be camping at a church tomorrow night, and they'll have electricity and all that, so I don't need a full charge, but just to kind of top it off. I think there's another place in maybe a mile or so, kind of another trailhead that I might be able to get water at, so I'm gonna try that. Probably hang out here for another 15 minutes or so, and get my power bank like at least halfway. There's 2 jugs. That right one is empty. The left one was all the way full, but there's no sign or anything. It's not labeled. I mean, it's right outside this person's driveway. So I see something like that, and this is at the trail. There's the orange blaze up there. I assume it's a water cache. It's not on the official like Florida Trail Association's Google Doc for a water cache, but I went ahead and dumped out my river water. Still had a nice yellow color to it. I dumped it out and filled it up with a liter of that, because I don't know, you know, what that actually is. You know, for all I know, it's somebody's trash that they put out on the curb. I mean, you don't know, because it's not labeled. So that's my backup water now. I still have, I don't know, like half a liter or something of my rainwater, and I think I'm gonna try to make it to like a gas station before I start drinking that water, if I can. If not, I'm not gonna, be dehydrated. But I think that's like maybe 8 miles or something, so we'll see. I don't really drink a whole lot of water out on this trail. I mean, kind of on an average day, like I might drink a liter, just because you're not really exerting yourself that much, and it's only on the days that kind of get really hot that you drink more than usual. So I've gone several hours just walking, and it doesn't even cross my mind to drink anything. So yeah, I think I'll have a couple more hours before I get to that gas station, and I think it's about 3 or 4 miles or something like that from where I plan to camp at. And then there's another campsite maybe 5 miles after that, so I might go to that one. And then after that is a road walk. Some people are saying it's a good night hike, so there's a possibility I might just charge up, eat a good dinner at that gas station, and just night hike to the several churches along that road walk that let you camp at them and get water and stuff. So I might just night hike until I get to the first one. I'll have to look at the mileages. I want to say it was like 40 miles maybe to the first one from where I started at. So if that's the case, maybe I won't do that, but we'll see. Just left the J-Veers gas station, charged up for like an hour. I got a burger, a couple of drinks, body armor, and a chocolate milk. Still not sure how far I'm gonna go. 5 miles, 9 miles, night hike, we'll see. But the ladies there were really nice, so. And I didn't have to drink the river water. Used a water hose there to fill up all my bottles. It's kind of foamy. It might just be the sulfur. It could be the fact that thing's like a rocket hose and it was just air in the water. But either way, it's probably safer than the river water. So got maybe like 3/4 of a mile, get back to the trail. So walking back across this bridge, Swanee River is here. So you gotta get back across this. And one thing I've kind of noticed, I'm curious if I'm gonna see any hikers in this next section. Most likely tomorrow is where the road walk starts. Just because the only people that seem to be walking the whole trail in a traditional sense are the people doing the ECT. People that are only out here for the Florida Trail seem to skip a lot of the road walks. Everybody that I've talked to that's out here doing the Florida Trail only is skipping this next section. So we'll see. I'm kind of the mind of speed running it as a night hike. I don't really want to be out there in the middle of the day with traffic and the heat and all that. And road walks are kind of nice to just zone out on, which is hard to do if there's large trucks passing you by. So a night hike would be kind of nice just to enjoy a quiet road. I don't think it's going to be like a major highway or anything, but less traffic. Just listen to some music or podcasts or whatever and knock it out. So there's definitely a path through this place, but it often feels hard to believe that you're walking in one direction because you're constantly like weaving in and out and doing all these S's, going around blowdowns and things. But it is cleared. It is pretty well marked with at least these flagging tape, but there is, like I said, just kind of a loosely worn path in the grass that is oftentimes hard to follow or see, but I'm getting close to the end of it. And I've heard that, like, once you get to St. Mark's, it's really well maintained there, so it's certainly better than it was probably a couple weeks ago before they got out here and broke through all of this. And I believe this is I-10 again. We're gonna pass right underneath it. It's kind of weird to think about, but I walked underneath this exact same interstate all the way in Arizona, right outside of Tucson on the Arizona Trail. Here I am all the way in Florida. It's a long ways away. So I got to the black tract campsite, which is actually really pretty nice. Wide open, flat. The grass was cut really low. Had 2 picnic tables, river access, fire pit. I don't really have a good reason for not stopping there. It would have been about 25 miles for the day, but I'm gonna go ahead and do another 14 miles night hike to church. I guess my thinking is I don't want to road walk all day tomorrow in the heat, and I don't think that road's too busy, but obviously should be less busy at night. So nobody was at this campsite. I think people are skipping this road walk, so my plan is to maybe, I'm thinking Stevie Wonder might be at this church. He was about 15 miles ahead of me yesterday, so maybe he stopped there. So maybe I'll have he'll be asleep by the time I get there, but maybe I'll have somebody for a couple days to road walk with, but I'm probably going to end up slowing down anyway because I think I'm going to have some friends come visit for St. Mark's, so it's going to be a long night. It's hard to say exactly since I'm off trail now. Oh, and that's the other thing. I am taking a road walk that kind of parallels the trail, just because this section is so damaged by the hurricane that even during the day, I get lost because the blazes are hard to see and the flagging, and like I said, there's not really a trail, it's more of a path. So doing it at night would be kind of pointless and very difficult. So I'm going to stick to the road walk. There's only 6 more miles of trail anyway, and it's going to be dark here in probably 45 minutes. So But yeah, I think I'm gonna be on this road for roughly 5 miles, and then it turns off onto another road, and I'll be on that one for probably roughly 10 miles until I get to the church. So I don't know if I'm gonna record much between now and then, just because this camera doesn't really pick up much at night unless I have my headlamp on, and I don't really plan on hiking with my headlamp, just because I'll be on a road and you can see easily where you're going with just the ambient light from the moon. And if there's no traffic or anything, as it doesn't appear there will be, at least not very much, you know, I just won't need the headlamp. So I might cut in with a few things, but for the most part, it's probably going to be 10 or 11 p.m. when I get in, and I probably won't make a video when I get there, because if somebody else is there, I don't want to wake them up, and I'm probably going to be pretty tired and go straight to sleep. So I think it's going to put me roughly at 40 miles for the day, though. And that'll be by far the longest I've walked on trail. On the Arizona trail, I had a couple days where I was at, I think 34, 35, maybe 36, somewhere in that range. But this trail, I guess it was a couple days ago before White Springs, 32, 31, maybe 32 was the longest I had done on this trail. So the first time I've ever done 40 miles. So I guess that's a milestone. So I will just make up a quick update. It might be a very long night. Somebody left a comment today on that church basically saying that there's a bunch of disaster relief people there, and there's like 30 RVs, and they're using up all the water hookups, and it's a very crowded place, and they really recommend calling ahead to see if they have a room. I tried to call them. I didn't get an answer. I mean, it's kind of late. It's like, you know, they probably, and they don't know who I am. So I started to leave a voicemail, and then I don't know if I reached the limit or lost service, but it cut off. So I just told them to text me whatever their response was. If they tell me there's no room, if I walk another 4 miles past that, you get to a small town that has a Best Western. So I mean, that's kind of my other option at this point, because if they say there's no room, there's no room. But that's going to put me at like, I don't know, 44, 45 mile a day, something like that. And I'd probably be getting in, I mean, at that point, maybe close to midnight. So if I do get to that point, I might just look to see if that small town has Ubers, because you know, at that point it might just be worth Ubering in the last 5 miles from the church to the town. But I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I said hopefully they get back to me and just say, oh yeah, there's room, it's fine. So we'll see. I was kind of hoping this road would be a little bit more out in the open, just because those have a little bit better visibility as far as, I don't know, when you get tree lined like this, it just makes it darker. I mean, I guess it's officially past sunset and I could still see perfectly fine, but I didn't realize it was going to be, I mean, you can't see really anything on this camera, but it's a lot brighter than it looks. But yeah, I was thinking this was going to be like a road like flanked by farmlands and stuff based on the satellite imagery, and maybe it turns into that once I turn off of it, but it's low traffic anyway. It's a dirt road. I guess you could say I'm on the home stretch. I made the final turn. I'm off the dirt road that I was on onto this paved road. It's a little bit more, it's got a couple of streetlights, obviously. I realize it's blurry, but I can't really do much about it. It's a little bit busier. I've seen a couple cars on it. There's a couple houses lining it. So 3.3 miles to the church. But church did get back to me. Looks like there's a bunch of deer up here. At least a couple. Church did get back to me. Said they had room. Told me where to go. So that's where I'm going to be staying tonight. And should roll in there a little bit after 10 p.m.